We have to raise this awareness to our women by educating them, by giving them the rightful right that they were given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God the Almighty, and that is the right to education.
Well, karibuni sana. This is Swaiba, the Audible African Woman. I am Nyambura Mundia, and this is a series on faith, feminism, and freedom, where we're talking about how religious norms affect our lives as women, but also sex and gender minorities. But today we have a very good person. And I say a good person because I think naturally she extends her hand and heart to help in the communities. And she refuses when I say this, but it's that I think I've met her twice. But I know of her community engagements. I know what she does in her community. And I will tell you, not only because she's an Ustadha, but because she is doing great work and is open to have this conversation, even if sometimes it's a difficult conversation, especially around the place of women in religion, specifically the Muslim faith. Ustadha Aisha, tafadhali, introduce yourself and thank you for gracing us.
Thank you very much. Yes, Juma Karim. Yeah. Thank you. Yes, again, I'm Ustadha Aisha Muhammad Darul Kheir. Ustadha means teacher, Islamic teacher. So I'm an Islamic teacher. Currently, I run a community-based organization known as Soma Mama community-based organization. I also have another one known as Darul Kheir Community Centre. Basically, what we advocate for is education to the Muslim women.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. As long as a Muslim woman is educated, she's able to take care of herself and take care of her society or her community. Thank you. That's our main goal. Currently, we are located at Mukuru slums.
Okay.
Yote. Yani from Mukuru South B up to Mukuru Embakasi. That is Mukuru Kwajenga, Mukuru Fuatanyayo, Marigoine, go all the way to Lungalunga, to Mareba, and the most famous one, Ruben.
Oh yeah, because that's the most famous one.
Yeah, Ruben yote. So tunasaidia wamama kwa hii mtaa yote ya Mukuru yote.
Wow, that must be a lot of work, and I pray that the resources find you.
Yes.
Now, because this is a conversation about faith or religion, I would want to hear. I mean, I don't want to make an assumption that umekuwa Muslimu all your time, but I would think so. But I'd love to hear what your journey of faith has been.
Okay, first and foremost, my dad is a sheikh.
Okay.
Or an imam, I can say.
Okay.
So I've been raised in a strict Islamic household, my dear.
Umesema strict.
Where? In the middle of Islando.
Yeah.
Okay. So being raised in Islando by a sheikh.
Yeah.
So niko na ugeto kiasi na pia at the same time there's some Islamic kiasi.
I refuse.
And then that Islamic value in me utaona. That is well instilled in me and the Islamic education. So that comes from, okay, I can begin from there saying who my parents were. And then at a very tender age, sele nilimaliza 8 Nyambura, nilitolewa shule. Niende kusoma. Nikaenda kusoma religious studies in a country called Kuwait.
Okay.
Kuwait in the Gulf countries. Just near Bahrain, Saudi and all that. So sikusoma secondary, sijasoma seko.
Oh wow.
So nilipoenda huko nikaanzia from scratch, nikamalizia seko huko pamoja na my college.
Oh, in Islamic, I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. So Islamic religious education. So nikirudi nimerudi maybe 8-9 years later. Ndo nimerudi when I was already 23. So I left 15, I came back 23.
Did you always want to be an Ustadha?
Sasa hapo. I became rebellious when I came back.
Oh, look at you. Because you thought that was not the path you would have chosen for yourself.
You know, I went to learn this religion from the Arabs. And the Arabs gave me the knowledge of the religion and instilled the culture.
Within their culture.
Forcefully put me within their culture. A woman cannot go out. So unaweza imagine Nyambura, mimi the whole of Kuwait nilikuwa najua market na supermarket.
Like, that is such a different life from what we know.
to the Kenyan girl who was raised in
That's what I'm saying.
Island,
that's such a different life.
Because
there's no demarcation between a Christian woman and a Muslim woman in Kenya, right?
Yes. Sasa that freedom, alafu sasa umekuja ku the Arab culture. Schooling, hostel, school. If you need to go anywhere, there's the bus there that takes you. And then there's a lot of diversity. So we were girls from all over the world.
Okay.
Who were given scholarship to come learn the religion. And then now we were sent back to our countries to spread the gospel. Neza kukwambia.
Oh, wow.
So that's how it was.
I didn't even know that within the Islam community, there's such a strategy. I know Christians do it. They have all the time, send people out to go learn theology and then come back.
You come back.
Yeah.
So we had that. So we had so mi naweza kuambia ile kitu imeni impact sana ni kuishi na people from all over the world.
Oh, I think this is why you're very open-minded.
Very, extremely. So I've lived with Chinese Muslims, Brazilians Muslims, Russian Muslims, West African Muslims, and nimekula hizo chakula zote nini vitu kama hizo. So my journey with the faith was that. So at the very beginning, it was instilled, and then I was given the education, and then I was told go and spread it.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I came back, I was like, hey, no, I say wanaingia Nairobi University, they have good jobs, they have this, and then here I am a teacher, then an Islamic teacher, and then you know how madrasa is. It's not like in the standard of a primary school or a secondary school. It's something of the low standard of education. So nilikuwa feel like I've wasted time.
Oh, wow.
So I was very rebellious for a while. I said, I don't want to study it. And there was something unique about me. And that is, nilikuwa na speak two international language. I was speaking Arabic and English very fluently.
Okay.
So I landed a job as a PA of an ambassador, League of Arab States. So, so I interpreted, I did worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs from one embassy to the other one. And then the call started coming.
You said the call started coming?
The call was there.
Oh,
naona watu hawafanyi vizuri. I keep on preaching Nyambura. Mi kila mali na preach kwa embassy. Sijui umeniit, niko kwa hata diplomatic meetings, and I find people not doing well. And I'm like, the Lord said. And God said. And this is... So I realized I have trapped myself here. This is not where I belong.
So you went back to being an
Ustadha. Pole. So I promised myself, Saturday, Sunday, if there's no call, the embassy doesn't need me, I'll go to the mosque. So Pole went to the mosque, and then I saw the tragedy. Wow, women are not educated. They can't read, they can't write, they're in poverty, it was a mess. I was like, now how do I help these women? I can't quit my job. So I turned into business, haraka business yangu ishike. Went to sleep, picked up some biashara huku na huku, then nikaona business inasimama. Quit my job now. I fully focused
on being an Ustadha.
An Ustadha and teaching the religion to the women.
Wow,
so that is
that's
my
such an incredible journey of faith.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I should ask the second question because I'm like, that is her journey. No wonder she's such a balanced human being. Good for you. And good for you for, returning to the core, but also doing it in a very, I'll just say balanced because I have no words for it. Swali la pili, the second question I want to ask is, I know you say that in your faith, in your journey as an Ustadha, one of the things that touched you is the fact that Muslim women were not as educated. So I think my question would be, what's the place of women in the faith, in the Muslim religion?
In the Muslim faith.
Yeah.
Okay, we as Muslim women appreciate our space and our place in Islam, because when we look at where a woman was before Islam came, we are looking at civilizations that came before Islam. The Roman, we can say the Greek, the Romans, the Hindus, the Arabs themselves. Women were nowhere. When it comes to their right, yani walikuwa hawapewi ile rights zao vile ilikuwa inafaa. So mwanamke in those days, let's say she could not inherit, she was a property. She used to be sold in the markets, we can say,
like slaves.
Yeah, like slaves. They didn't have a right of marriage. Yani babako akikusell out to a man, halas, you go, you get married. So they never used to have their rights. So Islam came as a light.
Okay.
From that kind of demeaning lifestyle to now giving a woman has space in the society. So we say in Islam, mwanamke amepewa right zake zote holistically, socially, economically, politically, in everywhere. A woman has a space and has her, okay, she's been elevated. Let me use that word.
Elevated.
A woman is elevated in Islam.
Yeah, I think that's what, yes,
Yeah.
I have heard
she's
that.
Been elevated.
Yeah.
Islam came to elevate a woman by giving her her rights as a woman.
Oh, wow.
That's what I can say. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when it came, okay, for instance, unaweza kujiuliza kivipi mwanamke akona right yake katika dini ya Kiislamu. Mwanzo kabisa tukianza kutoka kwa mama mwanamke, like socially aspect of it. Let's start with the mother. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, teaches us that a mother, because a man came to him and said, who deserves my compassion? Who deserves the best of me? Who do I give the best of me? The Prophet said, your mother. And then he said, mother, eh? Not you, the Prophet, or no, he said, your mother. And then he said, who else? The Prophet was quiet again, akasema, your mother. And then he said, who else, your Prophet? And he said again, your mother. So he has given the mother the most elevated status in Islam. So to us, a mother is the one who is elevated. Birrul walidain, being good to your parents, is next to godliness.
Wow.
And it starts with your mother. So if your connection with your mother haiko vizuri, it means connection yako na Mungu haitakamilika. So the status of a mother. So that is a woman. A daughter. In the social aspect. Again, Islam says, God says it very clear. Okay, the Prophet tells us that whoever raises a daughter, akampatia right yake yote, right to the education, right of, shelter, food, akampatia msingi ya Kiislamu, akamdiscipline, akamake her into a great woman. God says there's nothing that would forbid her from getting into heaven.
That's such an eternal promise.
Yeah, God says that.
Wow.
So that aspect walikuwa nayo Waarabu and others anciently, that a woman is nothing, a daughter is nothing. I won't give her this and that. Si baadaye tu tutamtupa tu atakwenda kwa mwanamume mwingine, atakuwa na maisha yake. No.
That is not.
So that gave back that dignity to the daughter.
I like that you use the word dignity, yeah. So
it gives back the dignity to a daughter. The right to protection, the right to, the right to education, the right to shelter, the right this and that. And that's why Nyambura sana unasikia watu wanasema, nyi Waislamu mnakaziaga sana wasichana.
Yeah.
Siku kazia. Men know they have responsibility over this girl.
So which brings me to this question, Ustadha. So I will come from where you said Muslim women are perhaps mostly not educated. Alafu sasa tunakuja kwa other things like the special needs of the specific needs, not special needs, the specific needs for women, like sexual reproductive health rights, access to contraceptive, protection from GBV. So how do we mar what the Prophet, peace be upon him, says and what the Islam faith is about? And what we actually see in terms of, because, well, one of the things is that when you don't have education, when you don't have education about your rights, but also literacy in itself, unaweza ganamizwa, si ndio? So how do you as an Ustadha, and I'm not shifting the responsibility to you, but how do we bridge the gap? Because
it's very easy to raise the awareness.
Yeah.
We have to raise this awareness to our women by educating them. By giving them their rightful right that they were given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God the Almighty, and that is the right to education.
Yeah.
You see, these rights are there, but then the culture ndo inakuja katikati inamkataza huyu mama ile right ya kupata ile education. Mwanamke wa Kiislamu amerudi nyuma sana because of that. So, if the moment we bring them to the mosque as religious teachers. We bring them to the mosque. And I teach her what God has said in the Quran, like the Bible study. When I'm done with that, nimetengeneza faith yake na Mungu, si ndio? Yeah. And now give her other education that itamsaidia kwa maisha yake. Especially an African woman who is living with poverty. Unapata? Mimi nilikuwa this is how now I have become who I am when it comes to advocating for women rights.
Yeah.
Nilipoingia pale msikitini, nilikuwa nafundisha mama. Lakini utaona ule mama, ile jana nimemfundisha, leo nikimuuliza hakumbuki. Kwa nini ukumbuki? Ni mental health, ni stress. Mwingine anakuja amepigwa. Unaona, so unamwona hijabi yake inakaa hivi, anasoma. Hiyo ni SGBV. Unaona? Mwingine akona mtoto. Anabeba mtoto analia, ukimwambia mnyonyesha, anambia mimi mwenyewe niko na njaa. Unaona? Poverty. So all these social problems nilikuwa naiona kwa class, kwa msikiti. One by one. So I learned myself on how to tackle it.
Yeah.
And when it came to sexual, hiyo GBV, nilikuwa nasema, so how do I tackle this? Naenda naongelesha mwanaume, namwambia acha kumpiga. Tena kesho anampiga. Then I was like, hapana, there must be a way. And I go to the local organizations on the ground and I ask, how do you deal with SGBV? Wanambia kwanza, unamleta huyo mama hapa, mama anaongeleshwa, she goes through counseling. Secondly, ukiona imezidi, there's a desk at every police station concerning this. Thirdly, peleka kwa elders ama peleka kwa, what do you call, mosques ama vitu kama hizo wa interview. Ukiona itawezekana, tunamfunga. So the moment mimi nilikuwa informed, I've dealt with SGV very well.
In the
community.
Yeah.
So it all goes back to your question is education. Let the religious leaders like us have that education so that we can be able to pass it through to the society.
I hear you.
And in that way, the society itatusikiza. Na in that way, the society itaweza kuji-uplift, especially a Muslim woman. I think kama kuna kitu imemfanya mwanamke wa Kiislamu kuwa mnyonge sana, ni kutojua.
Can I ask you a question? And this is I hope it's an appropriate question. When it comes to, when we talk about poverty, when we talk about GBV, one of the questions that is key is that, and I just in a conversation with our other guests, is around sexual and reproductive health rights. Uptake here, whether it's what you call contraceptives or just family planning in general. How would you speak into the agency or Muslim women, but also one of the conversations that I hear is that some of these conversations kafir ndani, so there's a resistance.
Yeah, there's a resistance.
So please speak about it.
Sasa angalia, unajua there's a generation. Okay, I need you to understand this, Nyambura. Our constitution is the Quran. That is our constitution. Na kwa hiyo constitution, hakuna mali unaweza kukuja wewe leo ukasema I will rub this, I will include this. Allah says in the Quran, the constitution has been written and the pen that God used to write with has dried off.
Okay.
Yani it's done.
Yeah.
Kitabu vile inasema, lazima tutafuata kama Waislamu. Ndio maana unaambiwa Waislamu wanakuwa na lifestyle ngumu sana. Because we try our best to go by that constitution.
To adhere to the constitution.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when it comes to, you were saying that aspect of reproductive health, using contraceptives and all that. Sisi kama Waislamu tuko na reservations zetu when it comes to that. Na tunataka kudeal nayo vile sisi we know best.
As it should be.
So I have this teenage girl. Yeah, because let me tell you, hakuna time watoto wetu wa Kiislamu wamepata mimba kama during COVID.
Yeah.
Nyambura nimelea, nimekuwa shosho. Nimelea wajukuu. Why wajukuu ni wengi sahi? Wajukuu.
That is
even
sad.
Bringing now, actually sahi pali niko ni kuwarudisha shule. Last year nimewarudisha wengine wamekataa. things like that. So nikajiuliza, okay, fine. They're already sexually active, whether I want to accept it or not. There's a time, a whole generation, back in the days, a Muslim girl, teenage girl would be caught dead, pregnant before marriage.
Oh, I hear you. I do remember such
Yes.
stories. Yeah,
Hata
literally.
tulikuwa tuwezi kusimama kwa barabara, kutwa umesimama na mtu kwa barabara, unajua. But now, they go to an extent of even having this sexual intercourse with these men. So what are we going to tell them? Are we going to tell a Muslim girl that utumie contraceptive? We are going to be encouraging adultery.
Oh, wow. Is that
how, that's how we look at it. We are encouraging adultery.
So what's the solution? Now we have, I hear you in terms of there's a problem. We have teenage pregnancy.
Yes.
So what is the solution?
Abstaining. Sisi tunaongea on ways you can abstain.
Okay.
That is what we are preaching.
Okay.
You are a young girl. We've been there. Hata sisi pia we've been where you are. Tumependwa, tumetongozwa. Unajua. Lakini kumbuka kuwa hii mwili si yako.
I mean, you said that.
Yes. We as Muslim believe that your body belongs to Allah. He's the one that instilled, yeye ndo alikuweka hiyo nafsi. Hiyo nafsi, I mean the soul.
The
God
spirit,
is the
yes,
one that
nafsi,
put in the soul for you to be able to breathe.
Soul.
Soul. Na Mungu ndo ameitoa. Ukakufa. So this practically, the way we believe is that mwili yako belongs to God. Unaona? Ni yake. Yeye ndo alikuumba na yeye ndo atakutoa. Na kuna siku utasimama mbele ya Allah in the day of judgment and God will ask you, what have you done with your body? Unapata? So itumie the best that you can. It's a gift God amekupatia. And everything iko na time yake. As much as it's difficult to abstain.
Especially
and all
in this
that.
age.
But, yes.
I have questions because then, and I don't want to put you...
it's okay.
I don't want to put you, in under pressure. Because my questions then is, because you and I work in these communities, like I work in Mathare and Kibra and Kangemi. Even in the rural areas, I work in Tana Delta for a long time, where we have significant Muslim communities. And my question was, I hear you, because the Christian way is also the same in terms of, I come from the Presbyterian church. The gospel is that you should abstain. But then swali langu ni, the truth is, the young people are not abstaining. It's why we see, unsafe abortions. It's why we see teen mothers, right? We were just being told that Kenya is number 3 in terms of teen mothers.
Wow.
Right? In the world, yes. So, so in that case, the question comes, what do we need to do as a religious community? Na sisemi ati injili yetu ya
sote
is not right, and this is for all faith leaders. But is it practical? Are we really helping our people?
It is not really practical, because now the devil is also working with us, along with us. We have the internet, we have the phones, we have all that. So it's not really practical. But until we find a more practical one, from abstinence, we are not going to advocate contraceptives.
No, and contraceptives is for
That's
older,
what we are saying,
people.
that the older one.
Older people.
But now you see, it's been advocated to the young ones. And for us, the religious teachers, we are finding that to be very dangerous, because now we are going to be encouraging. Not even encouraging, telling them it's okay for you to have sex as long as you use the contraceptives. Unaona?
Right here, it's a difficult conversation.
It's a very difficult conversation, especially. In fact, we are very challenged.
Yeah.
We are
I
very
think nobody
challenged.
really has answers in the faith community.
But as much as we talk to them with the gospel, the way you said, the Quran, the teachings, and kidogo inatusaidia, kidogo.
That's
kidogo.
True. That is very true. But I think in the meantime, what you're doing in terms of providing social welfare, making sure that kids go to school,
the young girls
are educated.
Yes,
I mean,
the
that
young girls
mitigates
go
some
back
of these
to
things.
school. Yes.
Yeah.
In fact, it's my dream to have a safe house for them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'm really working towards that.
Inshallah.
Because in the Muslim society today, pregnancy is still seen as a, and bado wanatupwa nje, wanafukuzwa. So I want to be the one receiving them.
Which puts them in more trouble.
Yes.
In terms
trauma.
of exposure, trauma.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I still receive them until today.
Wow.
Yeah.
God bless you. Now, I mean, that conversation is hard, and thank you for having it, because I don't think we have answers today. But I think what I want us to look at is, go back to the things that the rest of us believe about Muslim women. If you'd help us bust some few myths. Which are the myths that you think the rest of us?
They say a Muslim woman, when she puts on her hijab, she's covering her brain.
What does that mean?
It means that she's not able to think.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, hana akilia, as in she's covered her brain. She's not able to use it. She's not intellectual. She's ako nyuma bado, uncivilized, vitu kama hizo. We say that Islam has really promoted education. In fact, the first verse that came down in the Quran was Iqra, Soma. The first verse that came,
Iqra, Soma,
it means Soma, read. So there's no religion that has promoted education like Islam. So as a Muslim woman is well educated, we want to tell them. And right now, it's very clear. You can see it in every field of work. You find Muslim women. So we are educated now. Another one is people think we are properties.
Okay.
We are not properties. They say, unajua mwanamke wa Kiislamu kila kitu mume wangu. Like hana kazi ingine. Hana kazi ingine, ni nyumba, ni watoto. No. She keeps her name.
Okay.
Yeah, she keeps her name. Kama alikuwa anaitwa Amina Muhammad, ni Amina Muhammad till death. She keeps her name. She has the right to inheritance. She has a right to to do business, to go out there. Like Islam has given her a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other? I think for me it's decency in terms of you don't have body autonomy, because it means that you have to be covered all the time. Like what you want. This is called the full hijab, right? And especially when they also do the niqab. What is it called? The niqab. Oh, I have not forgotten my Islam. I see. And I think for me it's that it's associated with forced decency. Kumanisha umelazimishwa. See, it's not in your own thing, right?
No. We have not been forced. God says this, yeah? I've brought down the revelation and then I've given you the mind. Read it. And then God has given you two ways. Amekupa hii ndo njia nzuri, hii ndo njia mbaya. So according to that revelation, unajua mbaya, unajua mzuri. So ni wewe kuifuata. La ikraha fitin. Hakuna mahali katika dini mtu analazimishwa kufanya chochote. So it's for you. And when Allah, the Almighty, reveals in his book that a woman should cover her chastity, he means that you cover your dignity to avoid many harm that comes with not covering yourself according to the revelation. He said now utapunguza fitina katika wewe na wanaume huko nje, so unakuwa ni mwenye kujistiri kutoka na fitna zile ziko kule nje. Pili, itakupa wewe heshima yako. Mimi napo heshima sana kwa barabara vile nimevaa.
Tunakuangalia vizuri.
Hata makanga. Au rude makanga zao.
When you show up with your nini, unaambiwa mama kuja nikupatie kiti. Na mimi nitaachwa kwa mlango.
So kuna hiyo kind of respect for you wearing the hijab and all that. What we are seeing today is young girls who portray the image of the fact that they have been forced to wear it.
Yeah.
Msichana akifeel kuwa amefosiwa ni msichana ambaye hajaelezewa. Mimi I wore my hijab when I was 3 years old. I mean standard 3 nilianza kuvaa. Nikicheza kati tunacheza nayo.
Wewe na hijab yako.
Mimi na hii hijab yangu. Sasa paka hapa nimefika hivi mkubwa. Unaona? Yeah. Sasa ni babangu vaa. Unaona? I remember hata babangu alikuwa anatupata tunacheza kati and then anakuambia na uvae suruali. Ushavaa nguo mrefu bado anakuambia because nguo yako inapanda bado uvaa suruali mrefu huko ndani. I remember there's a day he came, he found us like that. Like cover yourself completely. Nikakasirika nyambura. We. So at that time ni unakasirika but you go by it. But today my daughter is 10 years old. She's very vocal. Akitoka saloon alafu namwambia vaa hijab.
How? Cover her beautiful hair.
That cannot hiyo hawezi.
Yeah.
Hiyo hawezi. Unaona? So, mimi nilikuwa compliant. Those are 20, 30 years ago. The generation of today is a different generation. So, lazima kuna kitabu. Even the people, Jesus was sent to a certain kind of people. Abraham went to a certain kind of people. Muhammad came. So, even us when we are teaching this revelation, lazima pia si tukue modern. Lazima kuna vile nitamuelewesha mtoto wangu kuwa hijab, what does it mean? It just doesn't mean it's a piece of cloth or anything. Leo nitamwachia. Lakini kesho nitamwambia mama Allah amesema. Allah nini? Hivi pole pole. By the time she's 15, 16, atakuwa sasa able to wear na atakuwa ameielewa.
Yeah. So it's interesting because in the modeling world, I think we have very beautiful Islam or Muslim women who are coming up wearing the hijab, but also doing the runway, which is very beautiful to see. I think my last question would be, and I like your daughter for being defiant. I think daughters should be defiant. My last question to you is how, for both non-Muslims, but also, Muslims, how do we integrate what we know about Islam? Because Islam is about, as you say, elevates women. How do we integrate the education of Islam or the laws of Islam or the pillars of Islam with actual women rights?
The women rights in Islam are advocated in the pillars. Like, you cannot be a complete Muslim if you're not giving a woman her rights. Yeah. For you to be a Muslim, you have to believe and let the pillars of Islam be part of your life. And for you to be a complete Muslim, it means you're practicing and acknowledging the women right. You cannot be a complete Muslim if you're still abusing a Muslim woman and denying her rights. That has to go together. Yeah, it has to, in any aspect of the religion. Yes.
Well, I have no other question unless you want to point out.
Mimi ninge encourage too that more and more Muslim leaders should engage in learning and getting to know this education, this upcoming education when it comes to sexual rights, so that we can be able to, remove the misconception that we have in a Muslim society, and also the Muslim society to be engaged in this recent comprehensive sexual education, so that we can put the barriers very clear and say this is what we accept and this is what we don't accept as a Muslim society, and then what we do accept and acknowledge, we raise the awareness very, very well.
Yeah, you know what? I think we will be having more conversations on this, because I feel like the more you speak, the more I realize it's not a rigid position. We speak, there are solutions for our communities, even among our faith communities. And maybe that's what we've not
even
been doing.
In the African setup.
Yes.
All these two religions, tumeishi pamoja miaka mingi sana. Christians and Muslims, we've lived together and we coexist very well.
Yes. And we need to find
together
solutions.
with our different cultures. Uko na culture yako, mimi niko na culture yangu, niko na religion. And yet we found solutions.
Yeah, that is
to
so coexist. We can also find solutions around
even this. We can find very good solutions. Yeah,
violence
we can.
And sexuality.
We can. Yes. Yes. And I can say the Muslim community has opened their eyes. More and more women know their rights right now, and we are standing very firmly against SGBV. Very firmly, both on the ground and on the leadership status.
Yeah, and it's good to see. It's good to see you, Sheikh Lithome, and Namlef and Supkem just speaking strongly about these things. Ustadha Aisha, we could keep you here forever.
Thank you.
Because I just remember that one of the things that we would want to talk about the future is, our financial empowerment for women, especially around, the specific rules around it. But today we're talking about faith, feminism. Thank you for coming, not having us. I feel like you were the one asking me questions. Asanteni sana. Please leave your questions and comments. And I think you should visit or commune with Ustadha Aisha's community back in, where's your madrasa?
Mukuru
for
Tanyayo in South B.
Yeah. And if you're working in gender-based violence or sexual reproductive health rights, Ustadha Aisha is a person to work with.
Yes.
She's open-minded
Yeah.
and is willing to have conversations even when they're difficult.
Yeah.
Asanteni sana.
We have to raise this awareness to our women by educating them, by giving them the rightful right that they were given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God the Almighty, and that is the right to education.